A very good afternoon and a warm welcome from Kalaam Telecom. My name is Ronald Scherer from the Marketing and Corporate Communications, and I will be your host for today's online webinar. Our speakers today have lined up a very insightful session on reimagining the enterprise in the digital age with Microsoft Azure. Before we invite our first speaker, kindly please note, if any of you have any questions during the session, please feel free to write them down in the Q&A window, and our speakers will address them towards the end. Also, towards the end of the session, you will find a feedback form link in your chat window. Upon submission, you will get a chance to win exciting e-gift vouchers, which you can use to shop from your local favorite brands. The winners will be announced separately via email. Now, without further ado, I invite Mr. Srinivasan, Director of Commercial from Kalaam Telecom, to start the session. Srini, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ron, for introducing. I'm very happy to be here today to discuss about how the enterprises in today's world are dynamically changing their strategies towards going digital. If you look at the topic today, we're talking about reimagining the enterprise in the digital world. When you say reimagining the enterprise in a digital world, it is all about the revolution of the industrial revolutions and the digital revolutions that has been happening since a few decades in all the industry verticals. The main reason for anyone to move towards a different digital revolutions are only because of challenges that's coming forward to meet their customers' demand, expectations, and increasing the experiences, right? So if you look at an example of manufacturing industries, earlier they started with doing the manual process of manufacturing the materials. Then they moved to mass productions, where they had made to do the mass productions in multiple chain of assembly lines. Then later they basically evolved themselves into a digital revolutions of completely making it automated with robotics and the computerized technologies. Now they are in the smart factories with IoTs and digital automations. So this is the revolutions of any industries have been evolving to keep themselves in the digital age and meeting their customer demands and giving them the completely different experience in the world. So without taking much of time, I would like to tell you the pattern of the session. First is basically we will talk about Kalaam Telecom and the revolutions of the Kalaam Telecom over the period of time. Then I hand over the session to Mr. Mohammed Yassin, the cloud specialist of Kalaam. He will take why Kalaam for cloud transformations. Then later, Mohammed Yassin will hand over the session to Akib Afzal. He is a technical consultant of Microsoft, right? So moving towards Kalaam Telecom. So we are 15 years old company in Bahrain. We started our operations in 2005. We started off as a telecom player with the licenses of alternative licenses like fixed wireless, mobile, not mobile licenses, VAS licenses, and international ISP licenses. Later, over a period of time, we realized that expanding into the telecom world is nothing but to become a completely inorganic growth, which is acquiring the other telecom companies. Then later we realized that the telecom is not only the solution that we wanted to provide solution to the customers. Then later we invested ourselves our time and effort into managed solutions, like providing solutions into ICT, cloud, SD-WAN, and then getting into latest technologies in the world. Then in 2019 and 20, we became a regional managed service provider. Later, we also been certified by the international bodies like PCI DSS, having a data center certified, and we recently launched a cabling system called NOT, which is Kalaam network optical transition terrestrial system, which we will be discussing much in detail about it. And just not just not the trends, but this is all about this trend that we have been built over a period of time. So at present we are a 3,000 plus customer base, and right now we have about 5 global offices, and close to about 130 staffs have been working for Kalaam. And the experienced cloud experts are currently helping the industry transformations, as well as the managed solutions providers as the forefront of Kalaam Telecom. And we again we spoke about NOT, which is again a terrestrial cabling system. We'll talk more about that. So recently we have been awarded multiple recognitions across the various industries in the region, like best managed ICT service providers, best enterprise service providers, and all. And moving towards our solutions, we have placed ourselves as a completely managed solution provider in the region. We're offering completely various telecom solutions like internet, voice, data, which is again the traditional telecom services. We then realized that it's not just enough for us to basically help the customer to provide a turnkey solutions. Then we offered ourselves into the area of completely ICT and managed solutions like cloud, managed communication collaborations, and SD-WAN, which is software defined WAN network, and security. These are the key areas that we've been focused since last couple of years. When you say cloud, we realized cloud transformations have been and highly on the high pace, because people are basically moving towards cloud with the essence of making the data completely working anywhere and everywhere. That's where the cloud transformation has been completely an eminent essence of the customers to move towards cloud. Likewise, we have partners. We have partnered with multiple service providers, Azure, AWS, and the private cloud solutions like Monaco Cloud, where we have our data center, which is hosted in Dubai for providing private cloud solutions, as well as we are Azure technology partner and AWS technology partner as well. Coming to communications and collaborations, we are partnered again with Zoom and Office 365 and iSwap. These are alternative communication solutions. iSwap is one of the alternative solutions that again provides a complete hybrid solution for the communication capabilities, like Teams, chats, and email solutions and everything, which again gives the tremendous saving towards the organization, which is about 20,000 and 30,000 users. Talking about software-defined WAN, this is again one of the initiative from Kalaam, completely a new technology that we launched a couple of years back. This is again helping the organizations to move towards the digital revolutions. Again, this is particular WAN technology is helping the branch networks and the other larger networks to basically completely digitalize and have a central visibility of what is happening in the network, monitoring it, managing it, and maintaining that using technologies like Versa, Viptela, and Nuage. Again, getting into cybersecurity, we have our own SOC centers, which is hosted in GCC as well as in Kalaam, where we have 24/7 SOC as well as NOC, where we have people monitoring the services, which is very essential for the organizations across the region. And moving towards the data centers, we have close to about 5 data centers which is owned and managed by Kalaam, where we have 2 data centers which is in Bahrain, and in UAE we have partnered with Smart Hub and Equinix, and then Kuwait we have a data center which is again a part of Kalaam's own data center network. So we spoke about NOT. NOT is basically Kalaam's network optical transit network, which is a cabling system, a terrestrial cabling system. It's about 1,400 kilometers connecting to the major destinations in GCC, like Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi, and UAE. And the green the lines are nothing but it's our terrestrial cable systems, where we expand to the other destinations in the region, as well as in Europe, like UK and Germany, etc. So this is nothing but to help the organization to communicate with a lower latency and the faster and high speed network which connects them to the other applications which is hosted in cloud, as well as to their head office and then the other branch networks. And our customers, these are the few customers that we have acquired over a few period of time. And these customers are the ones who basically trusted Kalaam, and we moved them into the network, and they have various solutions from us, right from telecom, ICT, cloud, security, and more of their own requirements. And just wanted to, not taking too much of time, just wanted to introduce, we having the digital summit, which is a series of events that's happening over a period of time, which is from August till November. The multiple seminars have been, planned. Now we are in Azure. We are having an Azure training. Again, we will have the session for AWS. After that, we will move into the software-defined WAN. So there are plenty of the knowledge base, and then the lined up informations have been has been lined up for the customers to come and experience the understanding of the technologies that has been presented for the customers and audiences. So introducing Mohammed Yassin, our cloud specialist, who will take over the session from now, who will again experience and share the experience of transforming some of the customers of Kalaam into the cloud network, as well as he'll share some of his insights of why Kalaam for cloud. Yassin, over to you.
Thank you, Srini. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mohammed Yassin. I basically look into the cloud, solutions and in terms of architecting it, and in terms of providing a solution to our customers and helping them in the digital transformation. So that's basically what I do. First quick question: can everyone see my screen? I'm assuming yes. Thank you once again, everyone, for taking time out of your busy schedule and attending our webinar. I believe everyone today knows about what cloud computing is all about, so I will not go into that space. Instead, what I'll be speaking of in the next few minutes, which have been allotted, is why are businesses choosing to go in cloud. The power of cloud, especially in times like this, in the pandemics we are in, and how we as at Kalaam can help our customers embark the cloud journey. So, firstly, I mean, why are really people, businesses really adopting cloud? Now, there are a lot of reasons out there, but one of the main reasons is it's being a very cost-effective solution to the businesses, especially in the times of COVID-19, where every business is trying to make sure that they're able to somehow shift their capex investment to opex investment, and cloud is technically the right solution for the customers who are looking in terms of saving cost, but at the same time being able to provide the same or superior level of service to their customers, right? Because we're shifting from capex versus opex, and we are talking about pay for what you use and nothing more. So that's one of the primary reasons where the customers actually have been trying or exploring the opportunities of shifting to cloud, because of its being cost effective. Secondly, it being agile in terms of the business world we are in and the times we are in. It's competition is everything. So you basically need to be out there first to be able to grab good share of the market. So with cloud, it gives you the flexibility or opportunity to be agile as compared to your traditional businesses, where if you have to bring in or scale up a business, you probably have to wait for 4 to 6 weeks to get your hardware stack in, and then have the software and coming in and have the engineers get everything configured and get it done. But With cloud, you can have this all done in minutes, and you can have shorten your time frame to go to market, by half or probably more than half, and thus giving you the edge to go there first as businesses and be able to capture the market. Cloud is definitely the scalable thing to go for, where and you can scale in and scale out based on the business requirement, right? Tomorrow, let's say if your business needs are growing, right, and there is a temporary period where the business are going up, so you can just scale up as required, and when the time and the peak is over, you can always scale back, thus being very cost effective and utilizing your IT budgets to the fullest. It's completely secure, right? I mean, the amount of investments all these public cloud vendors are making, it's in millions. Where, and if at all we as businesses had to get all those kind of certifications and get the security done, it will definitely cost us a huge amount of money. But here we do not have to pay for it. We do not have to really bother of getting certified, because all the data centers owned by these vendors are completely compliant with the standards, be it an ISO, SOC 1, SOC 2, HIPAA, or any of the known government standards like the Department of Defense for the US and so many other regional and country standards. They're already secure, so that is a huge saving as compared to we trying to do that in our local data centers. Innovation, right? With cloud, with public cloud brings a lot of innovation capabilities to itself, right? For instance, let's talk about Azure Cognitive Search, right, with the AI capability, or we talk about Azure Phase, which is a facial recognition service on Azure, right? Now, if we had to build this from scratch, it's going to cost us a good amount of money, resources, your network and your hardware, your software stack, and infrastructure, as compared to just paying few dollars, right, utilizing the services as and when needed, and paying for what you use. So this is fantastic as compared to the traditional models, where if you have to innovate, right, so what's happening is you have to wait, you have to spend a lot of money, and with innovation it is not guaranteed that probably it's going to be a success, right? You might end up not being able to successfully the idea catching up in the market. So basically with this kind of environment, what you get to do is you are able to test out an idea inexpensively, and then come back and regroup and go back again and try to see how your idea fares out in the market. So this is one of the biggest strength of clouds today, that the public clouds, that allows you to do a lot of innovation. Now, having said that, all these business, in terms of why the businesses are adopting cloud, but I think in starting this year, one of the main catalysts, which was the reason for people to even start adapting cloud, or in our part of the world mainly, and or think much more seriously about digital transformation, was COVID-19. Though COVID-19 was not a great thing for mankind as such, but it in turn helped or made businesses really look seriously at the digital transformation and expedite the adoption of cloud. So technically it was the catalyst which helped businesses go to the cloud, or make faster decisions in adopting the cloud. And in coming back to in terms of the cost effectiveness, I mean, a lot of companies are looking at shifting to the cloud, be it infrastructure as a service, or be it collaboration perspective, or storage, or HR, etc. I mean, the biggest example would be Kalaam itself. We at Kalaam, when the pandemic actually hit, we were in a very good position to start working from home, for a very simple reason that we have our ERP in the cloud, we got our storages in the cloud, we got our infrastructure in the cloud, we got our emails, our collaboration tools on the cloud. So for us, it wasn't a much of a shock when this happened, because we had our things in place, and this was truly the power of cloud. We were able to embark because of the investment we had done as Kalaam. Of course, that being a part of the digital strategy, but when COVID hit, it actually we were way ahead of the rest of the people who haven't thought about the digital transformation. So we are one of the very live examples of adopting cloud. Now, just to give you a quick idea in terms of the power of cloud we have, right? See, a lot of companies, a lot of businesses, a lot of verticals actually have shifted the way they do business right now. And this is all thanks to the power, the flexibility, and the scalability of cloud, right? I mean, to give a very local example, when COVID hit, so the IGA, which is the government authority out here, right? They decided to start up an application called or app called Be Aware app, which was basically first of its kinds out here, which will assist in efforts to contain the spread of the COVID-19. And so that when it got launched, in about by June we had crossed 600,000 users who were registered, downloaded the app and registered on it. And this app helped us basically capture 5,200 plus suspected case, thanks to this app. And again, the idea is to tell you all that had it been a traditional infrastructure, this wouldn't have been possible, because we had to wait for 6 months, 6 weeks rather. So for the entire hardware and the software stack to come in, and then we had to build on it. But thanks to the power of cloud, we were able to do this instantly in matter of days, right, and go live. Similarly, it goes to the education sectors where if it wasn't for software as a service, which is one of the offerings of cloud, schools will not be able to do the remote learning for their students, right? I mean, we have the likes of New Millennium, we have the likes of BIS, or a lot of schools in the country and around the globe. And this is again thanks to the power of cloud that we are able to do so. Similarly, the businesses around has started to shift the way they do business. I mean, if people from Bahrain or probably from the region, they're kind of aware of Homebox. Back before the pandemic, Homebox used to stress a lot of walk-in customers. But when pandemic hit, they shifted their business model to online, wherein they saw a huge number of tractions and a good revenue in terms of the furniture sale which they've been having. And this is again thanks to the power of cloud. Had it cloud not been there, they will not be able to make this shift so quickly and so smoothly, and being able to scale as the requirement goes up of the business. And the best example in terms of the business which is able to scale as and when they want it is Netflix. I mean, Netflix, thanks to the lockdown, they definitely had close to about 16 million new subscribers, okay, out of which 7 million is from Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Now, to be able to cater to the 16 million new subscribers, which is only possible if you have a very agile and a flexible, infrastructure. Yeah, and likewise the cases of others like Lulu and Hunger Station and so on and so forth. So this is basically in a nutshell the power of cloud and what it can help businesses do and the governments do. Now, we as Kalaam, basically, we would want to be known as a business, as enablers for our customers who help them embark their on their digital, strategy journey, digital transformation. So that's what we do. We would like to be known to our customers as people who help with our customers' digital roadmap. So we offer public clouds, both AWS and Azure, and we also have our own private cloud. Of course, every business requirement has a specific use case. So like I said, we would want to be the enablers for our customers. We do the complete stack from cloud end to end, starting from consultation to design, migration, deployment, connectivity, which is an integral part, and that we being an ISP are in a better position to do so. And of course, managed services for our customers so that they can focus on doing what they're good at and leave the cloud part to us to take care of it. And lastly, in terms of cloud strength, why should even someone consider us? Because we have major partnership with the leading cloud providers. We have an excellent partner ecosystem. We have qualified engineers and team. We have a compliant data center. We have a NOC support, which is 24/7. And we have some big names as customer references, starting from Investcorp, Al United Bank, Esterard, which is financial services, YKL Moed, Ramses, etc. Now, I think I crossed my time limits, so apologies for that. Now, I would like to hand over the session to Azure's technical consultant, Mr. Akib Afzal. So, Akib, over to you.
Thanks, Yasin. Let me share my screen. So I hope everybody can see my screen, right? Anybody can confirm? Hello.
Apologies, I think we lost Akib there for a minute. We'll just wait for a few seconds while he's back. Hi, Akib. We lost you there for a second, but let's carry on. Continue. Hi, Akib. Yes, we can't hear you at the moment. I think your mic is muted. Sorry. Yes, go ahead, Akib.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Akib Afzal. I work as a technical consultant for Azure and M365 for Ingram Micro. I've been doing this since 2013, so I have worked directly with end customers, small to large, and I have seen a lot of transformation across all of these segments coming from very traditional ways, building a lot of new solutions, new innovative methods that they have utilized to make their life a bit more easier, in moving their workloads to cloud. Now, you heard a lot of things about cloud here, and it's like what Bill Gates said, before COVID. It's mainly about how prepared you are for the next pandemic. Okay, that is the question you should be asking, not really if do you have this technology in place in your organization, do you have that in place in your organization, or my emails run on cloud. That these are like the micro questions you should be asking, but the biggest question is your organization as a whole ready for the next pandemic? This is the question you should be asking yourself entirely. Now, based on my experience, based on the research that has been done in this digital transformation move, the reason why a lot of organizations opt to actually move to cloud is due to the technological advances that are available, readily available on cloud. I won't say just available, because it's not just available, it's readily available. When you mean that there is a difference between having it readily available and available. When you take something like a platform like Azure, it's all the services there are readily available. So you just go ahead, provision and start working. You don't need to build anything further than that. The platform is already built for you. So most of the technological advances are the driving factor for most of the CXOs to actually consider utilizing or consider moving to cloud. And this becomes their number one priority in this whole digital transformation journey. Now, there is something that is not mentioned here, which is COVID-19. That's also statistics ideally that should be here, but it's not here because I don't have exact numbers to put here. But now what happens is this becomes another catalyst over here that we can put as something like pandemics, or global pandemics. Okay, now every time this digital transformation comes, this is now added as a new pillar to this, in terms of which is driving organizations to actually go digital than utilizing their current techniques that they currently have. Okay, so moving on, now based on all these digital transformation triggers, there are certain things which business leaders actually have in mind when it comes to the digital transformation journey. You can categorize it into three pillars, I would say. So you cannot really transform an organization to digital unless you have unless people are also ready to adapt the change. Now, I will give you a good example. I come from an entirely different region. I come from a small island called Sri Lanka, just below India, and I used to manage 3 countries from there, okay, which is Sri Lanka, Maldives, and the Nepal, because we had offices there. And something that I have seen in Sri Lanka is, especially when you come into public sector, it is very difficult for you to transform a public sector into a digital workforce, okay, because the people there do not really have the mindset of adapting and changing, the way they work into this, because they are afraid that they might either not really lose their job, but they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. So this is one of the biggest factors in every business leader's mind when it comes to the whole digital transformation journey. So for this you need to have things like good culture shift mindset. You need to have the right skills and the right people to do the job, and then you need to have a very central workforce who's able to actually collaborate and work with anyone. So this is one of the biggest factors that's on CXO minds when it comes to moving into digital transformation. Then moving on, you get things like it's a bit difficult to embrace digital first, to get into the whole transformation pillar. Maybe once you surpass the first hurdle, which means that you get all your let's say infrastructure, everything set up based on new technologies. You invest on latest technologies, but then trying to do that too fast also will not actually get you anywhere. So you need to have that in a very slow and rolled out manner, where you actually go about having all these new solutions drafted upon, and then changing the entire process or changing the entire way you do work. So a good example you can take here is that you take yourself as a person. The first thing you do when you wake up, this is actually a part of digital transformation also. Now, if you do this, if you go back in time, maybe 15-20 years back, this answer would not be the same. The first thing that we do in these days, the first thing we do when we wake up is we take our phones to check our emails. This is the first thing we do. This is actually a part of digital transformation, and how digital transformation has actually touched each and every one of us, either in a professional or it can be in a personal way. There is not one single person here in this call right now who does not have anything to do with at least something like OneDrive or Dropbox or Google Drive or something like that. Some form of cloud exposure is there, whether you know it or not. So you need to harness this information, to change the way you do work. If you go to a bank, probably if you want to get, let's say, a loan, or if you want to get a credit card, or if you want to get something done, there is a entire process that is running in the back end, a manual paperwork or something like that, which needs to go, at least this is something I saw a couple of years back in a bank in Sri Lanka when I went to get something done. And I was just thinking, with the amount of technology that is already available, how and what happened was, to get this done, the particular manager who had to sign this was not in his seat. I believe he had gone for lunch. But just imagine him being able to actually digitally sign this document that without having me waiting there, just over his mobile phone while he's having lunch. Now that would be something, in doing, and it impacts a lot of things. The bank is actually going to waste little of my time there. It's going to waste little of his time there, and he's actually doing a simple thing as approving something, while he's having lunch. So that's the way you need to be. We actually need to change in terms of how we actually do business. So when it comes to business leaders, these are the things they actually need to look at when you're looking at a digital transformation journey for your organization. Okay. So now, how about the cost saving priorities by moving? I'm not going to, you can go through these figures, but I'm not going to go through everything inside this. So now you might talk about, okay, so now how is it actually going to affect me in terms of reducing my cost? So ideally there are several ways you can do this. First is you need to understand your existing infrastructure and what you're looking at going through, and when you get into the nitty-gritty of it, you can do that. But digital transformation does drive costs because it reduces a lot of unwanted factors you might be looking at. So for example, let's take a good example of any firm that actually has things like documents they need to preserve for a period of, let's say, 10-20 years. The previous company I was associated with, they were also a Microsoft partner, but they had something called a IP co-sell solution, which is a document management solution. This is not something, if you have heard of things like I can't pick out the name right now. Anyway, this is a pure document management solution which will help actually organizations archive their data digitally. Okay, now imagine the amount of investment that goes in terms of archiving real paper. If you have ever been to a place where they keep archived applications, archived paper signed forms, you will be amazed of how much storage that is there and how they actually keep these documents protected, because if there is some sort of fire outbreak. So the solution is very simple. All it does is there is a industrial scanner. All these documents using a workforce is scanned through this and digitally stored. So nothing really happens. It's all digitally stored. So in this way, you're saving cost in terms of storing this. You're saving cost in terms of having fail safes to prevent things from like, let's say, natural disaster, having it in 2 different locations. I don't know, whatever that goes behind this. So this definitely helps drill down or save in terms of cost, because all you're paying for at the end of the day, if you take things like cloud, it can be Azure, it can be AWS, it can be Google, is simply just the storage cost. You don't have to worry about having high availability. You don't have to worry about backups. You don't need to worry about anything like that. Then you move to the next pillar again. You will see things like innovation. Innovation, when you talk about innovation, it's automating some sort of manual task. This is the easiest way I can do this. I can say this, you use things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and I have a very good custom example below on how they actually do it. We will go through that, but they use things like artificial intelligence, machine learning to actually help get all these information out faster, efficiently, and much more quicker. Okay, and the last part is about ensuring your workforce is ready regardless. Now, imagine organizations who weren't actually ready during these COVID times. Now, traditional way, you have a computer, you go to office, you turn it on, and imagine a pandemic like this occurred several years back. Not like the SARS, the pre-COVID one, because that was not so severe like this. But imagine we were in those days when this kind of COVID issue happened. Okay, if we didn't have things like Office 365, if we didn't have things like Azure to help us actually work from home, even I think Yasin mentioned this, that we were all almost kind of ready. So it didn't really affect us. We had teams to make phone calls. Imagine we were in this kind of situation 10-15 years back. Organizations, businesses would have literally suffered. Okay, we would have literally suffered. But even in these times, imagine the organizations that weren't in this. So this is a cost. This definitely is a big cost if we were in that situation. But luckily, most of the organizations have adapted to this, so they were at least ready to a certain extent. So this definitely helps reduce the cost also. Because it's easy for you to work from home, and you have all the technology available in the user's devices. So it doesn't mean that they need to be at office to actually come to access this. Your office also can be actually freed in terms of the resources that you're running inside, because users are not dependent on resources running inside, rather the resources running on cloud. So this is another good factor in terms of saving cost. Okay. So moving on, what really is digital transformation? So how the easiest way to do this is to look at it in 4 different pillars. One is to engage your customers. The second one is to empower your employees by giving them but giving them the technology that they need to ensure that they are able to get the day-to-day jobs done or day-to-day work done. Now, if I am not given a laptop, and if I am not given my emails access from my mobile or from my laptop, and if I have to always be at office, that's not really empowering your employee. I don't see that as empowering your employee, because it's not flexible for me to work from anywhere when I have that kind of restriction. So for example, I can't install anything on my laptop. Okay, on this laptop I'm presenting, I can't install anything. That is, I agree, it's company policy, so I can't do it. But for the work I am doing right now, it's difficult for me to actually do something and show you on my laptop because I don't have permission to install. So what I do is, luckily there is something called Microsoft Azure. So I have something like a virtual machine running on Azure, and it's on my own personal one. I have set up things like VDI. So I turn it on a few days a week and leave it on. So anytime I want to do anything, it's like my second PC, but it's running on cloud. So I have some sort of flexibility there. So this is what I'm saying about empowering employees, to ensure that the employees have all the necessary tools that they need to actually work from anywhere. And then using these things, you can start optimizing even your operations. When you mean digital transformation, it's not just that your employees and customers, it's also on how to generate more business and reduce cost. Okay, this is how you optimize your operations. So you can use a lot of different available tools by using like Azure artificial intelligence. There is things like machine learning you can incorporate into your existing processes to get visual analytics, out of this, to actually monitor and see what's exactly going on in each different process. Now, this kind of automation requires a lot of work, but it actually gives out a lot of results in the end also. And then this kind of results will help you transform your products. When I mean transform your products, you're actually going to be more agile in terms of the products you give out to your customers. Right, so this is the entire digital transformation process when we talk about engaging your customers, empowering your employees, and operations, and then your products. Now, another important thing here is the trust. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but every customer I work with, one of the main things that they have is they want to know how secure your data is on cloud. Now, I'm not really going to spend a lot of time. This is by itself a different subject on its own. So how you should look at it is that Microsoft is spread across over 55 regions, right? And there are 2 data centers here in UAE currently, and we use this a lot. A lot of customers utilize this, but they have their own way of doing security inside the organization to ensure that the data centers are protected and secured. So not like you or me can just go ahead and walk into one of these data centers to even see. This is not possible. So Microsoft takes care of most of these things, but again, as an organization, it's your responsibility also to take a level of security in terms of securing your data, not the data center, your data. So Microsoft looks at all of these and they follow a lot of industry certifications. They've got a list of this. You can go to something called Azure Trust Center, which discloses all information related to how Microsoft secures their data center, what kind of security measures they take, what kind of industry certifications they have, how data is protected in each and every one of these regions, all can be actually observed there. Now, this slide ideally should be presented by someone from Microsoft, but I'm not from Microsoft. But the message I want to give here is that after Satya Nadella took over Microsoft, his vision for the company entirely changed. Okay, they came up with something called mobile first, cloud first world. So within Microsoft itself, they are doing a lot of things in terms of changing how they work. So if you ever work with any Microsoft employee, you might have or if you have engaged with one of them, they are very flexible in terms of how they work. They don't really need to be at office. All that they actually carry around is their device, and not most actually, I would say 100% of all their applications reside on cloud. Microsoft does not have anything on premise. They have nothing called on premise anymore. They also themselves utilize Azure for everything. So a good example I can give in this case is SAP. Microsoft runs SAP on on Azure. So Microsoft's own SAP system runs on Azure. So this is the best example I can give in terms of examples. But we see this growth in terms of the number of users who are connected to the internet on a daily basis. Everybody has devices. We have 2-3 devices at least on a minimum of 2. I myself, I have 2 mobile phones that I carry all the time. So then you get the tablets, the laptops, and all these other devices. Apart from these, all the sensors that go into when we walk into a room, the sensors that are working over there, all these are digitally connected. So this is what Microsoft actually calls as, the mobile first, cloud first world, where they have everybody interconnected with everything. So what Microsoft says is that in the future, all our interactions will be digital than in person. Okay, and just ask yourself how true this is, and if the answer is yes, you know what I'm talking about. 90, I would say at least 80%, 80 to 90% of everything we do these days is digital, even from buying something to paying for something, right? Gone are the days that we walk to ATM to take money. It's all done digitally. We log in and we either pay the merchant directly, or we can even, there is options now for you to get I think mobile cash or something like that. At least where they come and deliver the cash, some option like this. So this is what the whole goal on reimaging Microsoft is. So moving on, I'll be very brief here, right? So the cloud platform by itself, right? So there is phenomenal, custom adoption in terms of enterprise technology, okay, from the largest ones to the smallest ones. Now, this can be categorized into multiple different characteristics again, one being the device and mobility. Then you get crowd productivity and enterprise applications that everybody uses. Then you get business insights and on mission critical workloads that you're running, and then you get a cloud platform. So all of these actually can be put into one single cloud platform, which Microsoft has readily available. It's a platform again. Azure does not mean it is a product. Azure is a platform. I always tell this to everybody, don't look at Azure as a product, it's a platform. When I say it's a platform is something you build over. You don't, there is nothing ready-made inside it. Yes, services and everything are ready-made, but it's a platform you need to build your solutions over. Okay, so this ensures that you can deliver something like a fluid solution, which can over time grow, which you can do scaling, where you scale up or down as and when demands go, or scrap it and do something new. Then enables your employees, enables your customers to actually work in a truly modern workplace. Okay, modern workplace is an entirely different topic, but I hope you get the idea on what a modern workplace is when it comes to the digital space. And then through insights, when you say insights, it's mostly like analytics and all. You are able to actually do things like smarter decision making using analytical instruments like Power BI, or you can use things on Azure like Azure Data Factory for big data analytics. All this can be developed for you to get more visual insights like you have never seen before. Okay, when I say never seen before, what I'm trying to say here is that when you take a platform like Power BI, it is so powerful that you can go diving so deep into your data that you can go to the last millimeter of what you want to check on, right? So a good example of this is if you know who Rolls-Royce is, they sell something called actually, they don't sell engines anymore. They sell engines by the hour, right? So if you're an airline, you will actually buy that engine based on the amount of hours they operate. Okay. Now, when these engines are fixed onto the aircraft, what happens here is they have built-in sensors which transmit live data. At least when I saw this at that time, this is how it was. Okay, I'm not sure how much changes have gone in right now, but it can show the wear and tear of these aircraft's engines through these sensors, which feed out live data to the dashboard that they have. And if I'm not mistaken, they use Power BI for this analytics, so they can see all the information populated there. So this is how this is actually changing. They're changing the entire ecosystem on the way they do business, even with organizations. Or if you take Rolls-Royce, they are a company. Boeing is a customer to them. Okay, Airbus is a customer to them because they use Rolls-Royce engines, right? So that's how they actually enable and digitize, you know, the way even their customers do business. Okay, and based on all of these, you are able to do and make changes quickly, even with hybrid cloud. So hybrid cloud briefly is something that Microsoft spends a lot of time investing onto to ensure that you are able to run the best of both worlds on premise and on cloud. Okay, so I will just briefly go through this again. Since we are living in basically an era where, you know, mobility is the biggest thing. If you didn't know, when this pandemic happened, right? Digital media actually overtook the time spent in terms of watching TV. Okay, traditional TV. Nobody watches traditional TV anymore. Everybody watches things like Netflix. They stream things on YouTube, and during this pandemic, I believe this was published also. Netflix had some problems with the amount of load. Okay, so they could not actually handle the load because they hadn't expected this amount of you know, requests to be coming in. So there are a lot of things that you need to consider when in terms of mobile first world, because everybody starts working on mobile phones. So we do a lot of syncing, collecting, analyzing of deep data in terms of what we do on even our mobile phones. So for example, if I'm looking for certain types of videos on YouTube, the next time I go into YouTube, it is actually showing me related videos. You must be familiar with this for sure. So this is all a part of analytics that's happening in the backend, which you don't know about. And sometimes when you open Google, it will also show the same kind of videos related, things like this. So this is all a part of digital transformation process that's taking place, right? Now, all right. So what I want to summarize on this slide is basically that, in the next wave in enterprise mobile, it will be mostly about, fluid, seamless mobile experience for users, right? We are seeing this right now also on how far things have come. So going mobile is no longer just about carrying a mobile device and walking around. Going mobile means that you have the ability or your users have the ability to pick up any device in the context of what they are doing, and have instant access to all of their resources. It can be their emails, it can be their OneDrive, it can be their documents, anything, literally anything. And we are seeing that right now. Sometimes I too want that kind of convenience where I can just simply check a document that I want on this. I can simply search a document that's on my computer without having to turn on my computer. I mean, it's all getting there right now. So this is all a part of, the whole digital transformation process. We are no longer people who carry files and folders and walk around the office looking for information. It's all digitally available on our smart devices, right? So the cloud today, if you take Azure, AWS or Google, whatever it is, all provides this level of backend that you need to help transform your businesses. Okay, it's just about doing a proper feasibility study to understand exactly what you need and going forward with the entire transformation. So during this transformation process, you can actually understand what you exactly need and what you exactly don't need, and kind of filter the entire process. Okay, so how can Microsoft actually help deliver this experience? Now, there are different ways depending on the technology you want to use. Okay, now when you talk about Teams, you all must have heard about Teams. Teams gives you, the ability for you to communicate from anywhere over any device. Okay, so this is true collaboration for your business. So you're able to communicate, or your employees are able to communicate with internally or externally with your parties, regardless of what they're exactly doing. So you can utilize this to empower your teams with real-time access to data at any time from anywhere. Okay, and then transforming your business as a part of utilizing enterprise solutions, strategic enterprise solutions. Strategic enterprise solutions does not mean every single solution that you hear, but these are solutions that are specifically focused to transform you from where you are to where you want to go in the future. Okay, these are what strategic enterprise solutions are. These are specifically tailored solutions for your organization, and it will work for you, but it does not mean the same thing will work for someone else, unless that someone else is having the same problem. So there are a lot of ways you can go in terms of doing this to drive your customers, and then drive your organization also. And then customer experience. Now the best way to give customer experience is mobility. Okay. Again, mobility is the play here. Gone are the days where customers come in and they want to do everything digitally now. And I think a lot of people, a lot of people now are used to the whole digital device trend, and it's been there. Nothing has changed. Okay, we are seeing new devices and things coming, but if you really look at it, none of it has changed. It's been the same thing for the past 10 years, right? It's just a new upgraded version of every phone that we are getting, but inside it's always still the same, maybe with powerful hardware. That's it. But there is nothing innovative that has come in the mobile world yet. So everyone is pretty much now accustomed to having a mobile phone. So making it easier through probably things like giving an application to the customer where he can see certain things happening, which makes life easier for him. Okay, if you take a banking application, it's easier for him to sign in using his thumbprint that is registered on his Apple device. So he's able to sign in without having to remember different password or having to remember different code to sign in. So this is how you make life easy for your customers also. And then the modern workplace vision is a bit different, but this is mainly on delivering the best experience that you can and connecting everyone in real time across the globe. So Microsoft calls this the work like network. Okay, work like a network, meaning you're always connected to everyone regardless of where you are, and this helps you actually be able to collaborate better. So for example, on Teams, you're able to collaborate between, let's say I'm here and one of my colleagues is now not here. He's probably back at his hometown, but I'm still connected to him in some way, and I can reach out to him in some way if I want to with platforms like Teams. But if you take a traditional way, this is not possible. It's quite difficult. So this is a way of moving into a more modernized platform through the digital transformation journey. So imagine you being able to actually stay connected to your customer this way. This is the important thing. Now, I also work with customers, and instead of me having to actually pick up my phone and call that customer, it's easier for me to have actually be connected to him through Teams or any other collaboration tool that is there that we both have. This makes life a bit more easier so that I can, easily talk to him while I'm working on my computer than having to shift. So it's like making life easy for everybody, for him, for me. So I won't really forget that I need to contact him or something like that. Okay, so a quick brief on how some organizations are actually doing this, right? So I'm not going to go in detail of all of these, but how other organizations are doing it, or how other companies are doing it. You might be familiar with some of these like Sephora, but some you might not know, but that's okay. I just want to elaborate on how they do this. Now, when you talk about engaging employees, okay, this Red Robin, what they do is they have given each team member a voice, okay, asking them to provide ideas that would improve their guest experience. So how they actually do this is they do this using platforms like Yammer and 1 second, please. Yammer and Teams, right? So they are able to have something like this. So one of the old organizations, the CEO always used to actually communicate every Friday on Yammer. They have something called Yammer Jam, where the employees actually share their ideas directly over Yammer with their employees. Okay, and then some of them use things like social listening, like I said, to Yammer to make polls in order to understand what are the current market trends and how they need to better enhance. 1 second. Ronald, do I need to actually move quicker, or because I'm seeing some messages on my Teams?
Yes, Akib, let's move quicker and move into the. I'm seeing a lot of questions being popped up, so I think we should answer them as well.
Okay. So let me just move quickly. Okay, I'll just move briefly and get to the customer stories. I can't see because I'm on one screen.
Sure, no problems.
Okay. All right. So okay, let me move quickly because there is quite a lot more that I need to cover. But let's just go quickly on to the reference, right? Now this is during COVID. Okay, this is in Abu Dhabi. I tried my best and I discussed with Kalaam also to get the best examples possible. This was directly related to COVID and how Abu Dhabi's Department of Culture actually were ready during this COVID time and how they actually got through this lockdown period to get their work done. So there is a nice video. They use a lot of different technologies here. It's not just Microsoft Azure. They use Microsoft 365. They use hardware-based technology like Microsoft Surface and things like that. So let's just move on to that and let's have a look at it here. So there is a nice video over here that is there. I will try to play this. So let me know. Can you all see my screen before I play this? Can someone confirm? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll just play this, okay?
The mission of DCT is to promote the Emirate of Abu Dhabi and preserve its culture.
The Department of Culture and Tourism has a responsibility not only to tourists and visitors to the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, but also to its citizens and its businesses.
Abu Dhabi is considered a modern city because the leadership here in Abu Dhabi are keen to be part of the future and trying to accelerate the innovation to enrich the experience of the residents and visitors alike.
The Department of Culture and Tourism manages a number of assets, including museums, libraries. We also help license a number of hotels and tourist attractions to enable high standards. I decided to take the decision to deploy servers back at the end of 2019 to allow DCT to work in a different way. Because of the digital transformation journey we went on partnering with Microsoft, we were significantly more prepared for COVID. It was absolutely our mandate to ensure the safety of not just the residents of Abu Dhabi, but also our guests as well. In order to do that, we used Microsoft technologies, including Microsoft Teams and Surface, to enable our staff to go right to the heart of the situation using virtual crisis centers hosted on Teams, the first of its kind within inside Abu Dhabi.
We had our Microsoft devices. We had Microsoft tools, Teams, Yammer, everything that we needed. Microsoft Azure is a cloud base, and we had all our documents backed up in OneDrive. So we immediately started working at home and nothing stopped. These helped us to work anywhere we want, anytime that we needed to.
For CRM, we're using Microsoft Dynamics. It enables us to reach out to our customers and have a unified solution that we could get results from our customers and know their feedback about the Emirate of Abu Dhabi.
During our deployment of Surface, we deployed 1,500 devices to our DCT family. With the Microsoft Surface range, because the hardware and the software are intrinsically linked together, it offered something more than we could see from any other device. And when we started seeing it for the larger ecosystem, it just made sense that Surface was the choice for DCT and its staff.
Microsoft helped DCT to take the first step into the future, where we had everything migrated into cloud. We had Microsoft devices. So this was our first step into work sufficiently and to be ready in terms of technology.
The Surface range allows us to not only give people a laptop, but it's giving them a tablet. It's giving them a pen, it is giving them a touch-based device, which is perfect to allow people to work the way they want to and how they want to. Coupling the surface range together using things like Surface Hub, for example, we're able to really drive collaboration in just new and creative ways that we were just not able to do previously. Having Windows Autopilot to automatically deploy the laptops in people's homes without a physical technician being in place was a great advantage for us and saved countless hours of technicians' time, more importantly, the time of our staff getting up and running.
Using all these products enabled DCT to work more efficient. Time for meetings is reduced. People are being productive. The customer experience is in front of our eyes.
DCT has a restless ambition for innovation, and we really want our next generations to see what we did as foundational bricks to Abu Dhabi's bright future.
Yeah, I don't know if it's streamed properly because it's video voice over shared screen, so it might have been a bit laggy, but yeah, so that I think due to time I can't actually finish the rest of it, but there is a lot more information there. But I hope whatever I presented made use to you, and looking forward to actually working with you guys. So yeah, over to you, Yasin.
Thanks, Akib. Thank you for presenting and showing us how the enterprises are moving towards digital transformation in the future. I would also like to thank Mr. Srini and Mr. Yasin as well for taking us through various cloud offerings in the beginning. Now, the floor is open to Q&As. I am seeing a lot of questions being posted. I will read them one by one. Okay, the first question that I have here is, how secure is the data that is stored on cloud? What kind of security measures are to be considered by companies to ensure the company and customer data is not breached? Now I leave it to the panel speakers, Yasin, Srini, and Akib to, you can choose the questions and you can answer them one by one.
Yeah, if you all want me to answer any of this from Microsoft perspective, no problem. I can answer. If not, if Yasin, if you want to answer it.
Akib, I think you take it up from an Azure perspective. So yeah,
Okay.
There are a couple of other questions which first from Kalaam, so we'll take care of it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Perfect. So this is a very good question. Okay, security is one of the number one concerns to every organization and every customer. Okay. Now I have done specific sessions only on security around Azure to customers and partners both. There are a lot of things to consider here when you talk about security, right? One is how secure is your data? Yes, that's a very valid question. But let's look at it in terms of what Microsoft is doing to ensure your data is secured on Azure. So every time this question comes up, one thing I will give customers or organizations or anybody for further read is to go in, just search on Google, Azure Trust Center. This is all you need to put on Google. Okay. Now, what Microsoft does in terms of securing your data is that they ensure that all the necessary measures are taken in order to secure their data center from external threats, internal threats. I will give you a very good example to this. Microsoft has something called a cyber security department. Okay. This is a dedicated security unit. They call it the cyber security unit. The investment of this unit is, as of a couple of years back, it was $1 billion. Okay, I don't know how much it has grown to right now, but that time the investment was $1 billion, and this story still flows. So there are two teams sitting inside this cyber security unit, a red team and a blue team. Okay. These teams switch over every, I don't know the frequency, but they do switch over. The red becomes blue and the blue becomes red, something like that, right? Now, what happens between these two teams is the red team's goal is to always actually keep attacking and penetrating all Microsoft data centers, the production data centers, okay, by finding loopholes in the data center. And what the blue team does is they counter react to that. So their goal is to actually prevent these threats from coming in. So on a day-to-day basis, this happens, okay, and they find, they fix, they find, they fix. So the teams actually do this on a constant basis across the globe. And what happens there is that once they identify something and fix it, Microsoft actually has something called intelligent platform. So in this cloud first, mobile first world, they have something called an intelligent cloud platform. So what happens is they update one location that they have found this threat. This location or this AI goes and starts updating the rest of the world saying, hey, do you know I have got some new information about a threat like this? Please apply this to yourself. And so on and so on. It keeps updating its branch. So in terms of ensuring the data center is secure, Microsoft takes all these kind of preventive measures to ensure that no threats come into their premise. Now, in terms of securing your data, you have the option of bringing your own tools. It can be even from an antivirus tool, or it can be any other third-party security tool that you want to use to protect your data, or you can take a security service that Microsoft offers on their marketplace within, let's say, Azure. Azure has around, if I'm not wrong, it has over 1,500 services, okay, on the Azure marketplace alone, mix of Microsoft and non-Microsoft products. You can use any one of these to help secure your data. Now, you can keep your data in whatever the locations you want, including UAE or any other region that you choose. And Microsoft has no access to your data, because I'm telling you this out of experience, because if in case you lose, let's say, a password to the virtual machine, or you lose password to one of the services that you're running, Microsoft cannot recover this for you because they don't have access to your data. You're the only one who has access to it. Given that you want to move out of Azure, you or any of Microsoft, any of the Microsoft cloud services, you can export all your data back to your premise, and you can go ahead and delete all these services. Once it's deleted, once you do a hard delete, you cannot recover this. Microsoft also cannot recover this because all this data is encrypted, and once it's deleted, it cannot be again recovered, even by Microsoft, even if you raise a ticket. Okay, so yeah, I hope this answers the question.
Thanks, Akib. Now, moving on to the next question, which is, one of the most important concerns for CIOs is migrations of workloads from on-premise to cloud infrastructure. How can one ensure that seamless transfer of data takes place?
Yassine here from Kalaam. So it's a very good question, and this is the most concerning questions most of the customers, CIOs and CTOs have. Ideally, the best way of doing a migration is always in a pilot. Pilot approach is where we do bit by bit and have a very structured and planned migration in place. So the best thing what we at Kalaam practice is, and we have a good number of customers to successes on this, is once we have understood the workload which needs to be going on cloud, before we do anything, we do a POC. A proof of concept, right? So that basically would mean, let's say if the customer has, let's say, a 1 terabyte of data which needs to be moved to the cloud, and he or she is kind of not sure how it's going to fare out. So what we do is we take a small chunk of it and carry out a POC for the customer. And if at all it works on the small chunk of data, let's say for the sake of understanding, let's say we take a chunk of 100 GB of data and try doing a POC for it. And if it's successful, and if it works for 100 GB, it's going to work for 1 terabyte. So this is the approach we at Kalaam follow, and we have a good number of success stories, with this, be it our customers like Ramses Engineering or Esterard, or and things like that. So this is one of the ways we make sure that the CIOs or the customer have the peace of mind that the data is intact, and once it's been shifted to the cloud, it's going to be working seamlessly without a hitch. Of course, when we move data to the cloud, the on-prem data to the cloud, we do not delete the on-prem data. We definitely have it, and we we do a pilot approach, like I said, and at a certain point we decide that this is the point which is going to be cut off, and we take the entire thing live. So this is how we make sure that the migration is seamless and there is a confidence in the customer that everything is going to be working as as promised or as seen in the POC. I hope that answers the question.
Thanks, Yasin. Moving on to the next question. What are the cloud offerings that Kalaam provides in the Middle East?
Okay, so basically during our presentation, we did mention we as Kalaam would want to be known as an enabler to our customer. So we deal with the leading public clouds in the region, which is AWS. We have partners to AWS, we have partners to Microsoft Azure, and we have our private cloud with our data center currently being in Dubai. Okay, so cloud being cloud can we can not only offer our customers cloud in the Middle East, but we can go way beyond that, right? Because we with our partnerships with AWS and Azure, right? And Azure has data centers across the Middle East and the European and the world, so we can offer anywhere in the Middle East wherever the customer would need us to offer them the cloud, and that is the beauty of cloud, that you can offer it to any customer from anywhere. So the answer is we can offer it for anywhere. But if the question was which all data centers we have, that completely depends on in terms of what data centers Azure have, which part. Like Azure has a data center in UAE, which is the closest to the region right now. We have our private cloud data center in Dubai, and of course, other public cloud like AWS has in Bahrain. So it completely depends on where the customer would want the data to be hosted. But there is no limitation in terms of where we can offer a solution to the customers. It doesn't have to be Middle East. It can be regional. It can be global.
Thanks, Yasin. My next question is, what are the top 3 industries that will have a greatest advantage by moving to cloud? Due to cybersecurity concerns, how will Azure help transform industries like oil and gas, petrochemicals, to go digital? I believe, Akib, you can answer this question.
Yes. So this is a good question, but mostly, okay, it's not really due to cybersecurity concerns. Okay, 1 second. Moving to cloud. So there is no such industry that will benefit per se. All industries benefit in some way or the other when it comes to platforms like Azure, because they would have streamlined or they would have identified some sort of business process that they need to probably enhance or optimize or modify from what they currently have to be more efficient. Okay, now it's not specific to like oil and gas only. When you take oil and gas, even products like the modern workplace products makes use. But in oil and gas sector, what I have seen based on what I have worked with customers in UAE is that oil and gas sector, they use a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning solutions to actually identify trends and make predictions in terms of the data sets they have with them currently. For you to understand more on the oil and gas sector, I think there are a lot more references from Microsoft globally on how these different oil and gas sectors have gone on in terms of what solutions they have gone into. Not all of them have actually gone into the same. So there is, I won't say there is any top 3 industries. I believe that the whole digital transformation process applies to every industry, and everybody actually makes use of moving on to platforms like Azure. It can be even just migrating their data centers onto Azure, or it can be modernizing their data center by utilizing new services offered on Azure, things like that. So I can't give a confirmed answer, but that's how best I can put it forward.
Thanks, Akib. My next question is for Srini. Moving to cloud demands lower latencies for business critical applications. How can Azure Kalaam handle this?
Yeah, this is Srini here. Hi. So this is very important question when any application is being migrated or moved to cloud. The experience of the users should be seamlessly accessing the application and data. The main key factor for that particular communication is the lower latency communication, where the internet connections or the private MPLS or any form of connectivity to the cloud is very vital for the cloud applications to work fine. So how do we ensure that we are in the age where everything is connected, where in sense that the bandwidth has been highly available at the destinations where the data centers of Azure has been hosted, as well as the user end is also is being provided with the higher data speeds, like now these days 100 Mbps, 200 Mbps, and even gig circuits are actually getting cheaper costs, so that the one is basically they get a higher speed, so that the data transfer to the cloud and then the download from the cloud has been seamlessly possible at a high rate of transfer. Number two, latency. So the data centers which is across the Middle East are very closer to the audiences now. Azure is in Abu Dhabi, so the latency what we talk from Bahrain or any other destinations, it is more likely less than 15 milliseconds, is as good as being in their local on-prem, right? On over the top of that, on the internet, we also have the private connections, which is called ExpressRoute to the Microsoft data centers, which allows the larger organizations who wants a private connectivity or a direct connectivity to the data centers can also be enabled by Kalaam. We are an ExpressRoute partner. We've been connected to the data centers of Azure across the globe. So this can also be met. On specific mission critical applications moving to cloud, which is a core applications, where we can define an SLA and we can manage the SLA as part of the contract. So yeah, latency remains the vital role, but that's where we come in place as Kalaam to ensure that cloud communication becomes very seamless. I hope I answered.
Thank you, Srini. My next question is for Akib. What is the shared security model for cloud?
Okay. Right. So I will briefly explain this, right? So there are two parts into this. One is what Microsoft gives you as a commitment, and the second part is what customers or organizations have to take as a part of this joint responsibility. So from Microsoft side, they provide security for the physical assets, the data center operations, and the cloud infrastructure and fabric itself. So like I said, Azure is a platform, so it's a fabric, right? So this is where Microsoft takes the responsibility of ensuring security and all tasks related to that is applied. When it comes to customers or the organization's responsibility, ensuring Microsoft does provide certain built-in controls, but it is the responsibility of the organization to ensure whatever virtual machines and networks they have are secured, whatever apps and workloads you run are secured, and your data, you make sure that you are taking security measures to protect your data. So this is how the shared model for security works on Azure Cloud. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, there is actually a slide for this, but due to the time fact, I can't present it.
Sure. Thanks, Akib. A very big thank you to everyone who's attended today's webinar on Microsoft Azure. We apologize for taking too much time. I know we have crossed 1 hour, but Microsoft Azure is such a huge and a vast topic that we cannot really cover it all. But in case if you have any more questions, you are free to reach out to your account managers, and we will be happy and glad to assist you with further information. Now, we have almost reached towards the end. One last thing before we all leave the session. We will be posting a feedback form link in the chat window. Upon submission, you will get a chance to win some exciting e-gift vouchers, which you can shop from your local favorite brands. We will announce the winners in a few days via an email. Also, please look out for our upcoming webinars on next generation branch connectivity, remote working, and security. Again, a very big thank you to all of you who joined today, and a very big thank you to all the speakers who have presented us with very insightful information and for all the questions they have answered. Thank you once again. The meeting will now end in a few minutes.